Hey everybody, this is your daily Philcast, a daily prayer and affirmation podcast where we delve into the Word together. I read you guys a devotional. I pray you guys out. I read you some affirmations just so you're able to start your day kind of in the right headspace here. So we're going to go ahead and get into it here, guys. The story we did yesterday was Genesis 12. It was the call of Abram, and also Abram and Sarai going to Egypt and lying to the Pharaoh about Sarai being his sister, and then the Pharaoh marries her. So that was the story we read yesterday, and we also kind of went over, who Abram and Sarai were. That's Abraham and Sarah in the Bible. If you're familiar at all with those characters in the Bible, and if you're not familiar with those characters in the Bible, that is totally 100% okay, because we will learn about them. We're reading the whole Bible here, guys. So. We're going to go ahead and get into it here. This is Genesis 13. This is Abram and Lot separate. So Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot went with him into the Negeb. Now Abram was very rich in livestock and silver and in gold, and he journeyed on from the Negeb as far as Bethel to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai. That's Ai, by the way, that Ai. To the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there Abram called upon the name of the Lord. And Lot, who went up with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together. For their possessions were so great, they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. At the time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, "Let there be no strife between you and me, and between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. And is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. If you take the right hand, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered and everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, and the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the valley and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land that you see I will give to you, to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your offspring also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length of the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you." So Abram moved from his tent and came and settled by the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron, and he built an altar to the Lord. Wow. Again, man, I just want to keep reading it, but no, I said that yesterday, but I love that we're getting into some the stories that we've read up to this point. The story of creation, the story of Adam and Eve, the story of Noah. They're very short stories. It kind of just tells you what happened, and it's kind of just a play-by-play of the big events that happened. And lots of smaller stuff probably happened in between. But that's not in the text. That's not actually in the Bible. So it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It's just not in there. So the reason I'm saying that here, it's so interesting to me. Kind of getting into all of this stuff, getting into like these really kind of like more traditional, what we would expect stories to be. But because I'm only reading it a chapter at a time, I feel like we're not getting like a full story and scope. But that's totally fine. That's not a negative or anything. Like it's just there is positives to take from it. And I think it's what the interesting thing about just this part of the story to me is that one, I think, Abram saying that, it doesn't really matter where you go, I'm going to go the other direction. And God still, chose him to be, kind of the one that we will spring off of. So I find it really interesting there. I think it's really cool. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the devotional together here. But before we get into the devotional, I do have to do this. Guys, I do have a sponsor for this podcast, and they have been great to me. They have been awesome. But what they did was they gave me ad read to read, and I could absolutely just read what they gave me, and take it and just read what they said. But I'm not great at that kind of stuff. So what they also sent me, it was just testimonials and stuff from other people that either use the service, or I think actually the person who has been that I've been putting his testimonials in, I think he's actually the owner. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, there's a video that comes with what they send me, and I just kind of pull the audio from the video, and that's what I put on the podcast. So that's what I'm gonna just I'm gonna stop the recording here, and I'm gonna play the ad read that they gave me. So I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Bye. Hey, it's me. I'm a 1920s gangster from New York, and here's the deal, Betsy. Here's the deal, chump. Here's the deal, Mr. Man. Here's what I want you to do, fella. Here's what I want you to do, guy. I want you to go to patreon.com/Philly2Hats and sign up for his Patreon there. It's only $5 a month, and you get all kinds of goodies from the fat man himself. So come on down to old Philly2Hats. Patreon.com/Philly2Hats. You type in your daily Philcast in the Spotify or YouTubes, or just type it in and see what happens. type in a Philly2Hats and see what comes up. Just type it in. So I hope you do it now. Not now. Listen to the podcast first. But I'm a 1920s gangster with the Tommy guns, and a big cigar. So listen up. Bye. Wow. That was just something else. Thank you so much, 1940s, or was it the 1920s gangster, Thank you so much, 1920s gangster. You're not as good looking as the prospector, but pretty close. You're touching on something, close here, man. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the devotional here. This one is called Those Old Sport Trophies, and it's based off of Philippians 3:7, which is, "But whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ." I'm going to read one more time here, guys. "But whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ." While in my son's garage, I found the trophies he had won in his years of athletic competition. They were in a box, about to be thrown out. I thought of the blood, sweat, and tears that they had gone into gaining those awards. Yet now he was dumping them. They no longer had value. It reminded me of a whimsical children's poem by Shel Silverstein called Hector the Collector, which describes the things that Hector had. He loved them more than shining diamonds, loved them more than glistening gold. Then Hector called to his friends and said, "Come and share my treasure trunk." And they came and looked and called it junk. So it will be at the end of our lives. The things we spent a lifetime working for will be nothing but junk. We'll realize that the best things in life are not things. But we can have Paul's perspective. Whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ, because we possess the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus. We can keep a proper attitude about our possessions. And that was written by somebody named David Roper, so thank you so much, David. When I talked about this on my TikTok, by the way, guys, if you do want to follow me on my TikTok, I do read this devotional before I do the podcast here, and I do like a little praise and worship song as well. So that's what I do on my TikToks. If you want to follow me there, I'm a Philly 2 hats with 3 S's on TikTok. So you'll find me. It looks like, the guy in the picture for the podcast. It looks like that guy. That's what I look like. That's not me, but that's what I look like a little bit. So. Anyway, what I talked about on there, and it's kind of just something that I want to come back to here. I try to look at these devotionals and stuff from a perspective that I can understand, and I don't understand sports at all. I'm trying to understand sports more. I played football when I was young and never was interested in it. And then when I was in high school, I was in band and I watched football all the time, and I was never interested in it. And now I'm 32 years old and just wanting to get into football for the first time in my life. And now Taylor Swift is a part of football. So that's been a fun thing to kind of to kind of go through during this. Anyways, but my point behind saying that is that I'm not like a sports-centric kind of person, but I try to relate things in ways that I can understand them. I understand guitars really well, so I have some very, very nice guitars, and I'm very, very happy that I have them. But I know also that I don't need the nice guitars that I have. The guitars that I started on, my first guitar was, I think we got it for like $80 at a pawn shop. And the action was 3 inches high, and it was a very hard guitar to play. I think the nut at the top was falling off. The bridge was held together with I had pieces of paper underneath the bridge that were kind of lifting it up because the frets would buzz if it wasn't lifted up to a certain height. So, but I played on that guitar for a very, very long time, and it was kind of the only guitar that I played on. So, when I came to the better guitars that I have now, I do feel like I have kind of a better playing ability because I spent so long playing on that really, really not bad guitar, but on that guitar that needed a lot of TLC and stuff, and I wasn't ever going to give it that. So the point that I'm making is that you don't have to have the really nice stuff to do really well. In fact, a lot of times, if you have really, really nice stuff, it's going to keep you from being able to do the things that you really want to do, because you're always going to be looking for an excuse to up yourself before. Well, I can't do that until I get this, and I have to have this because this is what the people who I watch on TikTok, who I watch on YouTube, or this is when I look up the answer into Google. This is what they tell me that I need to get. Guys, that's not true. You don't have to do that. You don't have to look at things that way. Your things that you have are not going to come with you to the next life. And you won't want them there either. It doesn't matter which direction you go, up or down. when you do go, you're not going to want those. You're not going to want those things. Either because you'll be in the presence of an almighty, incredible being who you will only want to worship day by day, or you will be being tortured. So you'll want a lot more than the things that you had if you're being tortured for eternity. So I'm not trying to scare you, but I hope it does a little bit. If heaven is real, guys, if God is real, then that also means that the devil is real, that Satan is real, and evil is real. It also means that magic and darkness and all of that stuff that, we are warned to stay away from and to be wary of, all of that stuff is very, very real. Guys, he's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, that means that there are things that we can't see that we do believe in if we are Christians. So we have to be wary of that stuff, and we do have to read our Bibles to know that stuff is, that stuff is, one, real, two, that it is not scary. It doesn't have to be scary to us, because we are stronger than that. We are stronger than that kind of evil that's in the world, that persists in the world, even with God's sacrificing His Son to save us. So guys, I don't know how long this podcast is here. I'm trying to keep the podcasts between 15-20 minutes. So if I've already gone past that, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to keep these short because I want to get them out early in the day. Guys, before I let you go here, I'm going to read you some affirmations, and then I'm going to pray you out. So, you are deserving of love. You are saved by grace. You are considerate. You are a blessing to those around you. You are not broken beyond repair. You are a child of God. You are kind. You are generous. You are faithful. You are loving. You are not a failure. You are forgiven. You are not a victim. You are a warrior. You are supported. You are stronger than Satan. He is so weak, and God is more. You can be a vessel for love. And I am deserving of love. I am saved by grace. I am considerate. I am a blessing to those around me. I am not broken beyond repair. I am a child of God. I am kind. I am generous. I am faithful. I am loving. I am not a failure. I am forgiven. I am not a victim. I am a warrior. I am supported. I am stronger than Satan. He is so weak, and God is more, and I can be a vessel for love. Guys, I pray that you go out into the world and that you treat others with grace, and that grace is given to you, and that you use discernment. You use discernment in all the things that you say, and all the things that you do, and the things that you see. You use in the things that you hear. You use your discernment to know the truth and to not be swayed by what the world tells you is true, but to know the actual truth. Guys, the actual truth is that you do need to put God before you, because He is always going before you.